Drew McIntyre being a champion for women's wrestling. I love
Okay,
that.
that's a good.
Yeah, so he did an interview, and I'm not sure if they brought it up or if he did, but he discussed the inevitable future of WWE introducing mid-card women's titles on the main roster, and he believes that it's completely justified, that the roster is deep enough, and that they've been killing it for years now, so it just feels like the right thing to do. And I know that we've kind of talked about this a lot, and then there's the fan made titles that are like making rounds on social media to kind of show you what the women's US title and the women's intercontinental titles could look like. So it's definitely gaining traction a lot more than I think that it has in the past, because this isn't something that is just coming up. This has been years that people have talked about mid-card titles, but I think it's cool to hear it from one of the top male stars of the company supporting it like this, because it's different. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean as much, but Bailey has been a champion for women's wrestling and like doing the mid-card title thing, but I feel like it just makes it for some people to take it a little bit more seriously, unfortunately, when a guy like Drew McIntyre says it, because, oh, yeah, well, the women, of course, they're going to say it because it's more titles. It's like, no, like it
No,
goes
it's not. Yeah,
beyond selfish reasons or whatever. So I don't know. I just thought that was cool. And I think he's one of the few men that have spoken about it recently. So it was just, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool that he had such in-depth answers when discussing it. So it seems like it's something that actually that he's actually thought about, or like actually cares about and wants to see, which is a nice change.
it is a nice change because it should happen at this point. It's we ask the question all the time, why hasn't it happened? NXT is a great example of how to do it and do it well. Give them the proper amount of time. When it comes to the main roster, that's the only issue I have with
Yeah.
introducing a mid card title, because it could get lost in the shuffle. We already have talked about here ad nauseum on occasion how the women's tag team championship is being underutilized and how it just seems like a paperweight pass between
Yeah.
tag teams. It's getting better now with Jade and Bianca, but it took some time. When you introduce a new title too, who do you put it on? I said Meechin, but then who are you gonna have her go after? It's all about logistics in that way. But what they're doing with it in NXT with Kalani Jordan and having her be a fighting champion, and now her biggest obstacles right now is Fatal Attraction. Like it's being done very well.
Yeah, like I said, I kind of feel like they were testing it out in NXT to see how they could go about it, and the interest level from the fans to see if it was something that they might want to integrate to the main roster, and it's doing well. I have a little bit more optimism about how they would treat a mid-card title than the tag titles, because they don't do anything with the men's tag titles either. So it doesn't feel like it's necessarily just because it's the women's tag titles, although I'm sure that is a factor because they've never been prioritized since they were introduced. But I feel like just based on how they treat the women's single titles, I have more confidence that they would actually book the mid card a lot better. And then, of course, that does get more women on TV. That opens up a lot more opportunities for the women that are eventually going to be called up from NXT. And it makes sense. So to hear Drew saying that as well, I think is pretty cool. So it would be nice if he's kind of echoing a lot of what people are saying in the back as well, even if they're not coming out and saying it themselves.